Yeah.
Oh, he's good, he's good.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot better. My one sister flipped. Oh, God. She watched my mom.
The regular Board of Education meeting scheduled for June 24th, 2024 is called to order at 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Jones, take it away.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Jared, is Barry on the way?
Here is on the way.
Okay.
Board members, I've received 2 communications, members of the public. Mr. Powers is on his way from a trial in Pontiac, and Mrs. Noak is on her way from the Detroit Public Library where she works. I expect them, so just so everybody understands. I've asked Mr. Manning to, since he has performed the role for multiple years, to step in until Mrs. Noak gets here. And board members, there will soon to be 5 present, 4 votes for anything to pass. Mr. Manning, take the roll.
Mr. Jones.
present.
Ms. Santini.
Present.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Present.
Mr. Manning is here, and Mr. Maynard.
Present. Showing 5 members present, 2 on the way. Also in attendance is our Chief Financial Officer, Ed McKinnon, our McGlinnan Principal, Dr. Shauna Hemler, and Mrs. Klopsky, our Director of, not Director, but our Child Care Manager, Director, is here. I don't see anybody else. I'm going to get it right one year, I'm telling
We
you.
have our C Club president is also here.
Okay. Dr. Jay Blasius, distinguished alumni, is here.
Mr. Cerulli, our leading seniority at Clintondale High School.
Ms. Sheila Pisa, former middle school principal, is
There
here.
you go.
Okay.
And anybody else we forgot, thank you for coming.
What up? Okay. Board members, we're at the point where it is recommended by the superintendent of the board, president of the board approved the agenda as submitted.
So moved.
By Mr. Manning, is there support? Mr. Jones. Board members, any discussions, anything you want to see different? Mr. Manning, call the roll.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Santini.
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
And Mr. Maynard.
Votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Board members, it is recommended by the superintendent and the board president that the board approve the minutes for the regular board meeting of June 10th, 2024, and the special board meeting of June 17th, 2024. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Support.
Motion by Mr. Jones, support by Mr. Manning. Board members, are there any changes, additions, or deletions? Seeing none, call the roll, please, Mr. Manning.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Ms. Santini.
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
And Mr. Maynard.
Votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Correspondence. It is recommended by the superintendent and the board president that the board acknowledge the correspondence and receive them for Mrs. Chapman, Mrs. Cotry, Mrs. Heisel, Mr. Taylor, and Mrs. Winter. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Support by Ms. Zontini. Board members, any questions? Call the roll, please, Mr. Manning.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Ms. Santini.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
And Mr. Maynard.
Votes yes. Motion carries 5-0. Superintendent's report. Mr. Superintendent, what do you got for us today?
By the way, I'd just like to mention that our students are in Northfield this evening. Don't know why, but
They'll be here.
I hope they're well.
It's
If
okay.
not, it's their first summer meeting, so they're excused for the summer.
All right.
Good evening. For my report, I wanted to mention a couple things. One was a recent news article. Clintondale gets new PA system, gears up to expand busing. So a nice little article that was written about us in terms of our work that we've currently done to update our PA systems and then offer busing for our students. Also wanted to mention another article, recent article out there on June 19th, grants net playground equipment for Clintondale schools. So all 3 of our elementary schools have brand new playground equipment out there two very nice news articles written. I'll have them up here if you're interested, if you have extra copies, perfect. Just wanted to mention those because as we roll into the summer months, I just want you to be aware in terms of social media. Please look for some more updates of what's going on. Please look for the updates of what we have happening, and then look for some additional positive news articles coming out. Had some great meetings today to start talking about that transition into the summer of getting the work done between now and opening Rainbow Early Childhood Center as well as our schools for next year. So look for some of those social media posts in terms of the updates that are happening. It's amazing we're not even at July yet, and we're already at a point where we're going to start rebuilding and getting Rainbow ready. We've emptied it. We're going to be having it cleaned here soon. We'll have a team of individuals over at McGlennon starting tomorrow as a team working to get those schools ready for that first day of school. Even though everyone up here looks at us like, let's just take a vacation and a break, this is definitely not the time for our maintenance. This is definitely not our time for our custodial staff. This is definitely not our time for our buildings and grounds. So I just want to publicly say how much I appreciate that. The work that they're going to put in this week, next week, the work that they're going to put in to get these buildings ready. The individuals I met with today, just talking about those lead individuals stepping up and helping out in this situation of trying to move forward. We do have, we'll be interviewing for our operations director, but in the short time between that two, I'm very impressed with our group that came in together today to plan for those next steps. I'm excited to see them take McGlennon and transform and get a deep clean in and really move forward and move throughout the district. July 1st is right around the corner. As you'll hear later today in our board meeting, you'll hear about a budget and an amended budget of us moving forward. Just as we have the responsibility as a school district to have a budget, the state of Michigan will also be having their budget. They have the same deadline as us. I'm hopeful that we'll see one, if not on July 1st, shortly after, to hear about what that means for us next year. So the governor's budget will have everything in there, and it'll be voted upon in terms of from everything from per pupil allowance into all the additional categorical areas of additional money and opportunities for our families. So as I get that, I'm hopeful that in the July meeting, I'll be able to share a little bit. If not, then maybe in August. And just want to once again, as we move into the summer months, just please, if you notice something on social media, if you notice we're running low on flyers at your local restaurant that advertise enrollment and busing, please let me know. We'll get some more out there.
Board members, any questions?
I have a comment. It's
Sure.
okay. I know it's this time of year also, as I've spoken with Mr. Ciroli over the years. This is the only time a lot of the maintenance can be done if they want to redo floors and things of that nature. It's hard to do when you got students going in and out, so I'm sure they're going to be quite busy.
Absolutely.
And thank you for that.
Okay. Mr. Superintendent, thank you for the report, and my only comment is we will not be here, but a hearty congratulations to you on your 1-year anniversary here at Clintondale Community Schools on July 1st.
Oh, my God, already? Oh, time flies.
One of the things that members of the community will see, because it's being worked on right now and on our Facebooks, and the board will receive it, is Ken and I are pulling together a list of our accomplishments over the last year. It is no joke that I'm sure the people watching on TV and those here can tell that Ken and I have aged 5 years in a span of a year. And the amount of work that Ken has done has been unbelievable. Things that are done in his office, he's down to the last several things, and he's got some whoppers coming, but he's done a lot of good work, and I wanted the community to make sure, and the board to know that it is coming, and it is safety and security, it is education, and we did put our students first, and we will continue to put our students first. So, Ken, thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Okay. We are now moving on to public comment regarding business before the board. We encourage you to voice your opinion on topics on the agenda. Please stand and be recognized by the chairperson and state your name and address before commenting. To provide the opportunity for all to participate, board policy limits each individual to 3 minutes. To ensure due process and the respect of individual rights, the district maintains a formal process for handling complaints against individuals. A problem involving an individual or individuals or specific incident is best handled through administrative channels. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. Speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. Is there any member of the public wishing for public comment on the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we're going to dive right into the agenda. First up, consent agenda. Consent items number 1 through 6. Number 1, resignation of Alex Taylor as a student council advisor. Number 2, the hiring of Malik Hazard as part-time seasonal outside groundskeeper at the rate of $17.57 per hour. Seasonal custodian hire again, Ethan Zabel as an outside groundskeeper, effective immediately, the rate of pay $17.57 an hour. Seasonal custodian Ty Apisa, the rate of $15.96 an hour. 5, career option leave for Ashley Winter. 6, resignation from Carol Chapman. Does any board member wish to isolate any one of those items? Nobody wants to isolate Ty Apisa here?
Why is there a difference? I thought that was a discussion thing.
Okay, you have to isolate it if you want to know, but Lee, quickly, why is there a difference between them?
Some of the hires are going to be working outside, and some will be working as seasonal custodians inside.
Okay,
The
two
rate of
different
pay is higher
positions.
for outside custodian.
Okay.
Okay.
I will put a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Mr. Jones supports. Mr. Manning, call the roll.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Zantini?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Yes.
And Mr. Maynard?
Yes, motion carries 5-0. Congratulations, everybody. We thank you, and we look forward to working with you.
All right.
Non-consent items, number 1 through 13. Number 1 is recommended by the superintendent and the board president that the board approve the 2024-2025 board meeting calendar as follows. For 2024, July 22nd, August 19th, September 9th, September 23rd, October 14th, October 28th, November 12th, November 25th, December 16th. For 2025, January 13th and 27th, February 10th and 24th, March 10th and 24th, April 14th and 28th, May 12th and 27th, and June 9th, 2023. Or June 9th and 23, I'm sorry, and the 23rd. Is there a motion?
So moved.
By Ms. Kaminsky. Is there support?
Support.
Support. We'll remind the members of the public that the comments need to be done during public comment time. Is there any discussion from a board member on these dates? Board members, this calendar was put together by me and reviewed by Ms. Kaminsky and Mrs. Wilson. We went through to make sure that we were on the 2nd and 4th Mondays. If the 2nd and 4th Monday was a holiday, then the meeting was moved to the Tuesday following it. I don't think I missed any, but if we do, then we'll make changes as necessary. Any other discussion? No? Anybody? No. Okay. Let's call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Votes yes.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Zantini?
Yes.
Mr. Maynard?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Second, Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators membership. It is recommended by the superintendent and the board president that the board approve the 2024-2025 Michigan Association of Superintendents and Administrators membership dues in the amount of $1,449.65. It is noted that our membership offers members-only communications and resources, special events, learning opportunities, and ongoing support and guidance, the legislative and legal advocacy efforts, and the sense of community that comes with being part of the professional organization. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Ms. Kaminsky, is there discussion? I do have one question. The 1449, it did not look in the packet like it includes Teresa's position. Is that correct?
That's for our membership for the year for the Michigan Association of Administrators. So she wouldn't fall within that category. That would be the members for superintendents and administrators. I believe she would follow with the MASB maybe?
I'm asking you this because right here in the packet, I want to make sure I read it. If I'm wrong, but we'll get there. Right, there's the leaks. I'm gonna get there.
Need a few more papers to look at.
Okay, it says right here, MAS Executive Assistant membership, an extra $100.
I did not add it in there, but it's,
Board members, I'd like to
Hadn't
make
done
a
that
friendly motion to Mr. Manning and Mrs. Kaminsky, excuse me, to add $100 to cover Teresa's executive assistant membership as well.
I'll agree to
I'll
the
amend
change in the
to,
amendment.
yes.
So now it reads $1,549.65.
Okay.
I believe this will benefit everybody involved, and all of us get training.
I'm gonna keep this with it.
Sure. Okay, any other discussions? Oh, please call the roll, Mr. Manning.
Mr. Manning votes yes. Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Zantini.
Yes.
And Mr. Manning.
Yes, motion carries 5-0. And here's hoping both of you get full use out of that. So, any trainings you want to attend, you guys know the rules. Just bring it to the board. Key card access contract. It is recommended by the Chief Financial Officer and the Director of Buildings and Grounds that the board award the key card access bid to the Flying Locksmiths in the amount of $84,410. The full amount will be paid out on out of the 31AA Mental Health and School Safety Grant. Is there a motion?
A motion.
Motion by Mr. Jones. Is there support? No discussion until there's support. For the purposes of discussion, I will support it. Mr. Manning, you look pensive. You got a question?
I just, we tabled it. There, we tabled it. There were some issues. I have heard nothing that all of the issues have been satisfactorily taken care of. Obviously, there's a recommendation, but the Chief Financial Officer, Director of Buildings and Grounds, Laura's not here. Ed, are you satisfied with across the board, everything? Okay, then I'm fine. I just would like to know that everything had been taken care of, that's all.
Okay. On this particular subject, 2 weeks ago, the superintendent sent us a communication inside of his weekly report. And I'm trying to pull it up here. He went over the comparison, weekly update 614, here we go. Okay, as you all know, here we go. It was requested that I send out additional information regarding the card access system for the schools as part of a safety and security grant. After the meeting, I requested information from both Laura and Ed regarding their original request, and I asked them to compare the two quotes that you asked about. Below is the summary of what he received. Did you get this?
Yes, yeah.
I probably got it, I just don't remember.
Okay.
It was pretty thick this week.
Okay, this is his summary.
Okay,
And he comes on, this is the superintendent's summary, and I'll read it. After receiving the information from both Flying Locksmith and BAE was contacted to see if they could compete with the features of Flying Locksmith, the services, or warranty, and they were not able to provide what Flying Locksmiths provided in their bid. Both BAE and Flying Locksmiths offer an opportunity for our buildings to have added level of security by using key fobs and card readers. The difference between the two were with the sound and camera clarity from Flying Locksmiths had much better quality, as well as installing new cameras rather than using our old cameras. Flying Locksmith was more expensive, but part of that expense was us illuminating the use of our current phones and cameras at the door, and us using new cameras and eliminating the need for outdated Alpha phones. Flying Locksmith will also be installing new door strikes district-wide, rather than using some of the new and some old as BAE was planning. Flying Locksmiths did offer a warranty on parts where BAE could not match that warranty. One final difference was the ability for us to lock down district-wide in the event of an emergency, which Flying Locksmith could offer. The ability for us to use key fobs or a card access system was the goal, so we could add some additional layers of security. Both companies can do this, but Flying Locksmith just offers more than BAE did. Both Laura and Ed went through the bidding process and presented their recommendation to Ken. With Ed and Laura, follow-up calls were made to BAE to see if they could match Flying Locksmiths. Both companies offer strong bids, and when Laura was questioned why we were going with the highest bidder, her answer was Flying Locksmith offers better quality, we will be updating more of our equipment, offers some additional features, and has a strong warranty. With the district that is working to secure the budget, spending more money up front now with the grant will support us in the future as less money, and we will need to be spent updating equipment. He goes on to tell us if he has any questions that we can call him if he wants to sit down and talk about it. In the interest of transparency, that is read as us doing our due diligence. It is me making sure Ken did it, and he put it in his weekly report. And I want to authorize this. It was originally communicated to me and other administrators that this money needed to be spent prior than June 30th, 2024. Fortunately, additional information has been shared, and we may have until September. But honestly, I am not comfortable with waiting, and I would like to move forward with getting key card access put into all the buildings. Okay. So with that, we've had discussion. Mr. Manning.
Okay, I realize, I mean, that's a mouthful there that you just repeated back.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that this number, 84,000, that's not chicken feed. I know it's under a grant, but even still, I think we should spend grant money the same way we should do our due diligence to make sure we're getting everything that we're promised,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody feels good about it. There's just so much about it. And even you repeating it, I am hopeful that we will get through this without any kind of problems, breakdowns, you know, because I still think it has to be applicable, like once the kids get here and then we put it
Sure.
in motion, then let's see what we got going. So I guess I'm just a little nervous about it, but I am confident in our people that did their jobs to investigate and make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to be getting. So I feel good about it now.
So-
Sorry, that little tweak there sometimes where they want support for something that you're just not absolutely sure about. It just, I don't know, it just makes me a little hesitant, that's all.
So I started this thing off, and I will tell the board what set my radar up was one of the people texted me and said, "What are you doing? You have a 10-day window." And the 9th day was the mandatory bid meeting. I had screenshots sent to me. "What are you guys doing?"
Yes.
Contacted the superintendent. He said, "No, Jared, it's 30 days. I said, "Okay, why wasn't it done on 30 days? "Well, you know, there was an error inputting it in the machine. I don't know how to fix it." I got it all, okay? So tracking all of this down, I can only say this, that with future bids, we're gonna change the process.
We should, although
We are
it
going to
needs be
change the
tweaked.
process.
It needs to be tweaked.
You know, this, from the board saying, go ahead and do something, I expect it to be done, like I asked the superintendent, my second question, why didn't it take so long? Is that a fair question?
I'll answer.
Go ahead.
So the process took so long in terms of getting key fob is we had two companies initially come in. Those two companies brought in two very different products. One product company came in well below the threshold of the bid. One came in right at the threshold. Based on my past experience, when you start looking at bids coming in right under that threshold of having to go out to a formal bid process, you often have to be concerned. Are we going to go over that? So after those first two companies came in, we realized that this is a little bit more in-depth. We need to go farther and dig in. I sent Laura out to do some more digging, finding out a little bit more information, finding out the different information between a key fob access and a card access. Sometimes have monthly subscriptions where you have to pay monthly to use their services. I was not interested in finding something that had a monthly bill associated outside a cloud service fee. So at that point, after about 2 months in of trying to do our homework on it, we decided, let's go to a formal bid process. I looked at Laura prior to spring break and I said, when we come back from spring break, I'd like a formal bid process put together. That formal bid process has a certain time frame, so therefore we did go out to that formal bid process then, which extended it even more. When we start looking at added safety and security, having it done tomorrow is always the goal. But in reality, as we dug in and we got deeper and deeper and deeper into it, something brand new for this district, community, and staff, they had to do their part in terms of making sure it was done right. So the extended time to have this done sometimes get held up because we have a fire code issue. This time, we took our time to make sure we did it right, to make sure that we had the right information, to make sure that when we had something put into our schools, it was gonna help us now, but also support us later.
Okay.
It's-
So, no, this would be my time, and then
Oh, I'm sorry,
then I'll
Mr.
kick back to you, I
Mayor. I'm
promise you.
sorry.
Going through this, the second portion of the situation is, did we expect it to take this long? No, we didn't.
No.
Okay, but the one thing he didn't mention was that we had to build it from scratch as well. The only person on this board that I'm aware of that has any experience with this type of system would be me. And I put it in 4 stores and two other facilities, and I'm about to do a third here. It completes on Friday. So when we go through and we talk about the situation, moving forward, when I say we're making changes, it means the bid's gonna come back to the board before we post it on the system to make sure every last sentence is correct and ready to go. So the board has, full knowledge of what we're bidding and we're not getting a surprise. The other items, to Mr. Manning's point, is I am not wild about $84,000. Not wild one bit. However, it does do some fancy things. For example, the doors are gonna be locked. So when Ken walks through the door, it's gonna beep Ken's phone. And I'm gonna know Ken went through door 1 at 8:30 in the morning. I'm gonna know it. So we're gonna have a record of when people come and people go, and it's gonna be on their phone. I'm going to have a picture of who came through the door and who didn't. So maybe I beep open the door and Diane and Walter, geez, I did it again. Diane and Wilbur will follow me in. They'll see 3 pictures. So we know at 8:35, 3 pictures went through. Okay? The ability, I can tell you without a doubt, I can turn my phone right now, with 2 clicks, turn every alarm on in my facilities and lock down every door with 2 clicks of a button. That's what Clintondale is going to have. The superintendent's gonna have it, some other people are gonna have it, and as we expand, hopefully we'll be able to click it into areas.
He will.
So, like if I wanna lock Jay Blasius in this room, click, 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 I've locked him in the room with a couple of clicks of a button. Not that I'm just using Jay, because he's out there, So the question is, $84,000, But with some of these things, $84,000, it's $84,000. Now, did I appreciate the answer last meeting that was given when we had that question asked? No. This is public money, period. Period. And I know it irked Mrs. Zontini, I know it irked me, I know it irked Mr. Powers, and I'm pretty sure it irked the rest of the board when we got that answer from our employee. Irked the living daylights out of us. So, we've gone through and we've beat this thing to a dead horse. I've read his thing, I've read his book, I've looked at BAE, I've looked at Flying Locksmith. I'm good. It's just $84,000, man. It's a lot of money. And the fact that what we did was, oh, show us what you can do. The next bid, we need to be more specific about what we want, and we do the research before we go out and say, oh, trick or treat, show me what you can do. That is my final problem with it. That, you don't apples to apples at that point. If I want 1,000 doors, then I want 1,000 doors. If I want 7 cameras, 7 cameras. That needs to stop, period. So that's all I gotta say. And Diane, I know you're nodding your head. Do you want to add?
And again, I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. I'm just trying to get some clarity, okay? And the bids weren't compared, I mean, not the presentation, after the presentation, they weren't compared completely apples to apples, was it?
Mr. Superintendent?
We utilized a list of what we were looking for from each one of them. We were looking for the ability for us to have key card access to our district. When the Director of Operations and our CFO started the process, that's what we were looking for. When companies came in, there was additional information. We weren't really, it wasn't as if we were looking at 2 sets of tires. We were looking at trying to update our safety and security systems. We have some systems in place. Some companies used the old, and some companies recommended the new. When we started to look at the amount of strikes and how long they last, when we started to look at the clarity of our cameras, we found a company that their camera quality was better, which was good. Did we ask for that initially? No, but that came with their product, and we were looking to move up. It just so happens that those added things that naturally came with them, like the ability to use a phone or the ability to use a new camera and get rid of the iPhone, were just added bonuses. We were initially looking for key card access. We were looking initially for 2 to 3 doors. We expanded in this building a little bit. When we go for the ability to have secure entrances, we need to take this key fob access and expand it even more. And you can use your key fob to get in the front door, then to get in the main office, and then to get out of the main office. We were looking for that with all of the companies, and a majority of them had the ability to expand with what they had. So were we trying to compare apples to oranges? No, we were trying to compare apples to apples, but in terms of the product that was delivered and that was offered for the CFO and the Director of Operations, it helped to check off additional boxes for us. We have an old A phone system. Some of the companies were going to use that system, but that's an older system that was going to go away eventually. With the Flying Locksmith, we had the ability to eliminate an aging product and also meet that goal of a key card access.
Okay, I understand that, but still my question is, then we didn't present to any other company to say, but I'd like to have what the Flying Locksmiths do. You know what I'm saying? We didn't present that to another company And did
Cor-
they say, no, we can't do it for 84,000? It's 180,000?
Correct me if I'm wrong, I see Ed nodding his head over there, but when we did open that bid and realized that they had some additional things, we did contact and we did ask questions about matching what they could do with their other technology. And the answer was, Ed just said no.
So they said no. That just the BAE or is that the only company that said no?
So we looked at the top two in that setting, and we contacted, the number two is what we looked at within there. Did we contact all of them? I think some of the quality of the product they were offering wasn't at that same standard. When they looked at it, they looked at those two top companies and realized they have high quality products, what they're offering. One had a little bit more. Did we contact the bid? It was a very bottom to see if they could match it? No. We took the top two and said, can you match this?
Top two of higher priced ones?
No,
or
of the
lower?
top two bids that we were looking at.
Okay, and we're not privy to know which those were then?
I gave you that information in the weekly update. Jared just mentioned.
Oh, that's right, I apologize, okay.
That's okay.
I guess the other two things is, I want to commend Mr. Maynard for talking about the changes on the bidding. I think you're right on the money on that. And the only thing that I want to add is, I felt that the presenter of the presentation made it, and I have nothing against this locksmith people, but 45 years. I did a little research. Yes, the original company came from 45 years ago, the original owner, and then it was brought down to his sons, and he had a military background. But this particular company that's doing the work has been in business for 11 years, not 45, 11 years. And there's nothing wrong with that. They buy out, they have franchises all over the United States. Because then I went and I started reviewing and reading all on Yelp and everything, comments, good comments, bad comments, and whatever. And they're out of Ann Arbor, correct? The folks that you're dealing with? We don't know.
I know, I believe it's, where,
Is it
do you know where
Saginaw?
the Flying Locksmith is out of?
Is it Saginaw?
I don't believe so, because the number I just called the other day to talk to the individual is 248, which would be Oakland County.
Okay, well, but still, my point was to drive the point through, that, this is a company 45 years in business. The company is, but not the people that are doing the work. It's 11 years. So I just wanted to clarify that. I have nothing against the Flying Locksmith, but I didn't want it where I was supposed to be impressed that a company was in business 45 years and they're not, because it's a franchise and anybody can buy a franchise.
Just to clarify, that wasn't the Flying Locksmith that made that presentation. They actually didn't do a presentation for us. They came the first night when we chose to pull it off the agenda. They were here, but they didn't do a
No,
presentation.
I know they did.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the presenter,
Oh,
that
okay.
the individual.
Yes, I hear you now.
The gentle lady that was at the podium,
Okay.
that's where I'm making my reference from. And it was really driven home, this 45 years, and it just kind of stuck in my craw. And I wanted some clarification on that, of that. If it isn't the Ann Arbor one, then I'll be the first one to say, I made a mistake and I'm sorry, or
I think I'm
whatever.
looking it up
But
right
it is a franchise.
Auburn
It
Hills.
is not a company that it's owned for
Auburn
45
Hills.
years.
Auburn Hills?
Auburn
Just
Hills.
the founders. Thank you.
Mr. Jones, you were the motion maker. I should have started with you. Do you have anything to say, sir? No? Mrs. Kaminsky?
I do. My first question is, the bid is for $84,000 and some, but I see in our weekly report, there's an annual cost of $3,780 for licensing and cloud services. So the $3,780, that's a yearly cost? Is that a fixed cost? Is it gonna go up in 2 years? We don't know.
For a cloud service like that, you're paying for the amount of devices you have collecting data. When we expand, and have more card access and more cameras, we would probably see an increase in the amount of storage we need.
Okay. And then the other question I had was that typically on our agenda, we see it's recommended by the superintendent and the president, superintendent and the department head. This says the chief financial officer and the director in building and grounds. You are recommending,
Yes, I am.
okay, thank you.
We put that on there like that, as those are the two individuals that went through the formal bid process with the companies.
Okay. I'm good.
Mrs. Noak?
I do not have any questions. I looked over the specification over again. It's a thorough job. I have no problem with going with the company that they chose, and no further comment.
Mr. Manning, sir, did you have second round comment?
Well, just to finish on my first.
I apologize. I
That's
thought you were
okay.
done on your first.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
But, you know, everybody has brought up good points. But part of my problem originally still was, it seemed like every time we got into something, something else came up. There was a big deal about why is there such a disparaging difference in the number? But then that one company didn't replace everything, like the Flying Dutchman or whatever this place is called. And then also, there was a problem that we were gonna have mixed matches, which I hate. Will this work, will that work with this system? Because we weren't replacing everything, we're gonna be putting stuff on old doors and da-da-da and da-da-da. So it seems like every time we got into something, you know, a good reason why there was such a difference is because this place was replacing with all new equipment, not just some equipment. So there's a lot more to it than just, you know, no disrespect to him, but a franchise, not a franchise, whatever, but this whole thing just seemed, I don't know, we've never done a bid like this before. I just can't remember a bid like this. This bid was just very different in how it went. No disrespect, but it just seemed very disorganized at first. And then it caught up and everything got resolved. Hopefully everything will be fine. But it just seemed like it got out, it just started bad, that's all. And I wish we would have had the flying, someone here to talk to the board so we could have asked questions to, I don't remember someone from the flying something that was here to address us with their product. That's all, thank you.
And I will just close comments by saying, I know nobody likes to see the sausage made.
What was
This,
that? I'm sorry?
I said nobody likes to see the sausage made. Okay?
No one likes to see the sausage.
Yeah, when you're passing a piece of legislation, no one likes to see how the piece of legislation gets made. They just like to see the final product. Okay?
Okay.
This board, myself included, has done proper due diligence on this item. Each and every one of us, from start to finish, has done proper due diligence. And this is what we will see on every bid going forward. And sometimes it's going to be easy, and sometimes it's not. But with this particular instance, each of us has gone through and done proper due diligence. It's been done in public. It hasn't been done behind the scenes. It wasn't swept under the rug. Nobody had any kind of, oh, we're gonna try and get this. We all went through this bid with a fine tooth comb. So I'm just gonna say that I'm proud of each of you, because we all came from a different point, and we all hammered home what we were supposed to do. And Mr. Powers isn't here, I do have some of his comments, I can't remember some of them, but I just want that to be pointlessly clear to the public and to each one of you board members that we did act appropriately, individually, and as a body, and we all take very seriously whether it's a dollar that comes in from a millage or if it's a grant dollar, we take it incredibly serious. And I am in the middle of working out different steps, which I will bring back to you for future bids, period. So that's my comment. I just want to say thank you to each of you, because this has been 4 or 5 meetings in a row. So at that point, Mr. Jones, I guess, Mr. Jones. Lisa, does anybody have anything else? No? Okay.
Mr. Jones? Nope. Sorry.
I know, you're so close. It was good. Lisa, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Maynard,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
and Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes.
The motion carries 6-0. And as I said, board members, expect a lengthy discussion on future bid projects. Number 4, 2024-2025 General Fund School Budget. It is recommended by the superintendent and the chief financial officer that the board adopt the proposed general fund school budget. Board members, it is in your packet. I am looking for a motion to approve the budget as presented.
So moved.
Ms. Kaminsky. Mr. Jones. Board members, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, but I do have a comment.
Ms. Kaminsky, you are recognized.
Thank you. I have concerns that our slush fund or rainy day fund, whatever kind of balance you want to call it, is going to be depleted by 60% at the end of the 25 school year, leaving us a estimated balance of a little over 1.2 million. And I know it is what it is, but I just want
So,
to put that out.
so we're hoping for a couple of factors. I'll jump in. If you need me, then you can throw me a life preserver. There's a couple of factors. This is rough. It's been rough decisions. First and foremost, $1.829 million. Not that the teachers didn't deserve it, but it was done with what every person on the planet knew was one-time money. It came right out of the president's mouth that it was one-time money. How the board prior to us thought it was gonna be 35 years worth of money, I'll never understand.
Me neither.
Okay, so we have that problem. The second thing is we have done our due diligence over 2 years. As you know, last year, I made the statement, I didn't come here to lay off teachers and staff,
Amen.
okay? But bad decisions have gotten us this far. So we took last year's decisions, we got rid of all of the long-term subs. We had a bunch of teachers who I can't thank enough who took 1/6, even though they get paid for it. They took the 1/6 and said, I will take care of it, I will do extra work at home, I will help out the district. We had a lot of teachers doing that for us. The second thing is, it was the hardest decision I've ever made on the board. We knew when we came on here, those of us that come, well, Mr. Powers and myself, and then as you all came on, you got the bad news that we needed to change operations. We needed to change the way we think and the way we do business. And that meant that we had to look at using our facilities and our resources differently. And that led to the first Clintondale Early Childhood Education Center at Rainbow. That center is going to help us by not only helping kids get a head start and programs. They're gonna be tested, they're gonna be identified so that when they move from that building to the next set of buildings, we're gonna know how to teach them even better. And then when they get done and, whether it's at with Rashida in Parker or with Dr. Hemler in McGlennon, then they're gonna go to the middle school. And the middle school is gonna say, oh my gosh, we got more. We're gonna be able to, over time, keep on increasing. Then eventually they'll get to Clintondale. They'll get to the high school. And then we'll see all the standards and everything will go forward and people will come back to this district. Moving that over also allowed us to open up more GSRP rooms. This board made two critical decisions. One, going 5 days, and which, by the way, the staff has been very helpful to us on, going 5 days instead of 4. That was big for parents. And 2, adding more rooms. Adding more rooms will help this bottom line. We've done it. You're gonna see something about carpeting. The reason we're gonna take the carpeting out is because we're given $25,000 a room by the state to fix it up and put the room however we need it. Okay? Per a room. So, yes, we've had to come down. And the reason that we're looking at this problem is because the people who sat in this chair, in your chair, in Diane's chair, in Wilbur's chair, at this entire table, didn't make the best decisions. They can come here and speak and yell at me if they want. Truth, facts. You didn't make them. Okay? All these teachers that we've had to lay off, that we've had to redone, should have been done over 5 years. But Ken aged 5 years in 1 year because that's what he had to do. All right, we had to formulate this plan to get this stuff moving forward. So the answer is yes, it is a concern. The answer is I'm really hoping the legislature wakes up and gives that extra $350 and does it quick to help out, because that alone will put us over a 5%. Okay, but we are going to continue, which we have to be. We will have to continue to make the wisest financial decisions on this board. And anybody out there, it ain't cakewalk to sit here. Okay, it ain't. I agree with you, Wilbur, 100%. And you gotta learn, you gotta know this budget, you gotta know, and you gotta have a spine of steel, because people are gonna cry because their livelihood is in our hands. So if we're not doing our job here, I think that's Mr. Powers, who can let him in. If we're not doing our job, they can't do theirs. So, God bless you.
Bless you.
I think, so that's where I'm at, Ms. Kaminsky. It's not something I relish. It is something that I keep my eye on. And I'm looking multiple, we're still looking. We're still looking at this budget to find out what's going on. So, does anybody else have any questions? Sir?
Just to piggyback, just briefly, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
The other thing that I can justify with that money there was that certain people thought that COVID money was everlasting.
Mm-hmm.
And going to come, I guess, till the end of time. And then when you absolutely cut Zoom and cut all avenues to watch publicly what the board is doing, the decisions they're making, and that is also cut. There was just some very bad decisions made, and this board inherited them. And rather than crying about it, we have been doing our due diligence, making hard decisions. I know people are Rainbow we're not happy to hear the changes, the ideas, our superintendent came up with to generate some money, something that a lot of people probably don't know either. During that last year, there was an attitude against Mr. Weaver. We have been doing business with them for many, many, many years. And I enjoyed working with Mr. Weaver. I thought he was one of the most hardworking, honest men I've ever met, and that he was characterized as the opposite. And then 3 young ladies from administrators with over 20 years each were also chastised and drug into that mess, which I thought was awful. So there was just a lot of things going on. I'm asking the public just to please be patient, because this board is working very, very hard on keeping us in the black, out of the red, not just for a day or two, but for the future. And it's not gonna be an easy task. This is something that was unloaded on us that is a big-time problem. And I just don't understand why people can't understand the simple math of it all, but it is what it is. And Mr. Powers, Mr. Maynard, I congratulate you on making very, very hard decisions. And I know in our conversations you have said that you feel like you're the most hated man in the world sometimes. You know what, screw that. You have to make tough decisions. That comes with the job that you are sitting at. The board president of Clintondale has to make some very, very hard decisions. That goes with the job in the territory. For an inexperienced board member, I think you're doing very, very well. So all these people that you're hearing all this negative criticism over and over, blow it off, so what? Because in the end, this board knows that you have always had your mind centered on getting us to a point, and I'm glad that you're so driven towards it. You're not gonna let people deter your thinking and your strategy of where you're going. So ignore that, and let's just get to work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members' comments on the budget? None? Okay. We have a motion by Ms. Kaminsky with support by Mr. Jones to approve the budget. I do believe we have to read it. We read it last year.
You have to read what, Jerry?
I think we have to read the resolution.
I don't think we do.
You don't think so?
Haven't in the past.
Okay.
No.
All right.
I don't remember having to do that in the past, but
Okay, Lisa, call the roll, please, or excuse me, Mrs. Nope, call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Zontini.
Yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Manning.
vote yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. The budget is adopted. 5, resolution authoring the issuance of notes in anticipation of school aid. It is recommended by the superintendent and the chief financial officer that the board adopt the resolution authorizing the issuance of notes in anticipation of a school aid in the amount not to exceed $6 million. Note for the public, the Michigan Finance Authority State Aid Note Loan Program, SAN, is open to all Michigan school districts and provides economic benefits through reduced borrowing costs based on cash flow projections utilizing the adopted budget for the fiscal year 2024-2025. The district will need to issue notes not to exceed $6 million. The proceeds from these notes will be received in August 2024, and repayment of the note will occur in August of 2025. Attached is a resolution which provides further details. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Ms. Kaminsky. Is there any questions, board members? Okay, Lisa, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning.
Vote yes.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. 6, resignation. It is recommended by the superintendent and the director of human resources that the board approve the resignation of Hadra Khatri, Rainbow Elementary teacher, effective August 1st, 2024, per her correspondence dated June 18th, 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Support by Mrs. Noak. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Powers, Mr. Powers, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Votes no.
Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 6-1. Summer school teacher cadets. It is recommended by the superintendent and the chief education officer that the board approve the following summer school teacher cadets: Mr. William Hollins Jr. and and Mrs. Nicole Hauschauer Comer. The teacher cadets will be paid $11 per an hour. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support?
Support.
Ms. Kaminsky? How come these weren't with the last set?
I can answer that. We added a couple IAs at the middle school level during summer school.
Okay. Enrollment's up in summer school. It's good news. Any other discussion? Mrs. Noak, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. 8, summer school secretary. It is recommended by the superintendent and the chief education officer that the board approve Saranja Patchell as the elementary summer school secretary. Her rate of pay will be $22.94 per an hour. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Manning, is there support? Mr. Jones, any discussion? Lisa, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. 9, summer school principals. It is recommended by the superintendent and the chief education officer that the board approve the following summer school principals: elementary, Miss Mary Moss, and secondary, Mrs. Dawn Sanchez. The rate will be $50 per an hour. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Ms. Kaminsky, supported by Mr. Manning. Is there any discussion? I guess it goes without saying they've accepted? Yes?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Just to see who's interested.
Okay, good. Seeing none, Mrs. Noak, please call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Votes yes.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. 10, EduStaff Agreement Renewal. It is recommended by the superintendent and the director of human resources that the board approve the agreement renewal with EduStaff for the 2024-2025 school year, the 2025-2026 school year, and the 2026-2027 school year. There is no additional contract rate increase associated with this extension. Well, that's good news. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Be even better if there was a dip.
Decrease, yeah, I'm thinking that, no.
Is
not
there
gonna happen.
support?
I'll support.
Ms. Kaminsky, any discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Noak, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Votes yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zantini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio Nauk, yes, Mr. Maynard.
No. 6-1, the motion passes. Termination. It is recommended by the superintendent and the interim director of special education that the board approve the termination of Dr. Kimberly Adams Kirkpatrick, school social worker, effective June 30th, 2024. Dr. Adams Kirkpatrick has worked for the district for 20 months. Is there a motion? I will make the motion to terminate. Is there support?
Second.
Support by Mr. Powers. Any discussion?
I'm just curious as to why we're terminating June 30th as opposed to imminent.
The question is directed to the Director of Human Resources. Why is this not immediate?
Her teacher contracts end June 30th.
So we
No,
have to wait
that's-
4 days?
That's not true. Teacher contracts end August 31st, but the school year ends June 30th.
Did we terminate anybody else and give them to the end of the school year? We did?
We didn't terminate anyone else this year.
Not this year, but we have in the past. It's the recommendation of our attorney.
Okay. Very weird. Any other questions?
I have one.
Sure.
Does that mean that, June 30th is her last paycheck or her last day of work?
It's her last paycheck. Her last day of work was the same as the teacher's, June 14th.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Maynard? Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Did you vote?
I haven't heard of those last.
No, I didn't vote.
I voted yes. Mr. Powers?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Votes yes.
Mr. Manning?
Vote yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Zantini?
Yes.
Ms. Valerio now? Yes.
Motion carries 7-0 to terminate the employment of Dr. Kimberly Adams Kirkpatrick. Mr. Superintendent, please notify her. Thank you. Administrator contracts. It is recommended by the superintendent and the board personnel committees that the board approve the following administrator contracts for the 2024-2025 school year. Ms. Melanie Moore Cargill, high school principal. Ms. Kara Cottrell Booms, middle school principal. Mrs. Heather Halpin, chief education officer. Dr. Shauna Helmler, McGlennon principal. Mrs. Alexandra Hechel, director of communications. Melissa Klopsky, child care director. Edward Mackinnon, chief financial officer. Deborah Perry, director of special education. Dawn Sanchez, director of the Rainbow Early Childhood Center. Rashida Shack Parker, principal. Elizabeth Walmsley, director of human resources. Robert Walmsley, Jr., director of athletics and the print shop. Teresa Wilson, executive assistant. And Maurice Woods, the middle school, high school assistant principal. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Support.
Support by Mr. Manning. Board members, I'd like to, a few points for you so you know, in case you don't know. I think Mr. Powers and I, and a couple others were on the board that dealt with this. These contracts automatically rolled over on April 1st without any action for the board to say otherwise, as in termination. So they're brought to here as a per forma. The reality is we will be bringing back, hopefully very soon, a agreement with the newly formed union covering most of these individuals to the board. Ken is diligently working on that. We will also be bringing back the individuals who are not covered by that administrative union agreement for your discussion, because we do have to make a few alterations when everything is completed. So that going forth, so everybody knows Ed's contract and Teresa's contract will be the only ones that come back to the board as individual contracts. Ed is not in the administrative union. Mrs. Wilson works for this board and for the superintendent. So we will come back and do that. I have also met with Mrs. Wilson this morning and this evening, and heard her presentation, and the superintendent is working out those fine details to bring back for your consideration. And I will state unequivocally, once again, that Mrs. Wilson works for the superintendent and the board. Does anybody have any questions? No?
No questions.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
Mr. Manning.
Vote yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Santini.
Yes.
Ms. Valerio now, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Number 13, rainbow flooring replacement. It is recommended by the superintendent and the director of child care services that the board approve the replacement and purchase of new flooring in the back 5 rooms of Rainbow Elementary School. The total cost of these renovations is $18,528.85 and will be funded with GSRP funds. Note, rooms 41, 52, 51, 53, and the music room will be updated. These carpets will be ripped out and replaced with a wood vinyl tile similar to that in the superintendent's office.
All time.
Is there a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Ms. Kaminsky, is there support?
Support.
By Mr. Manning. Is there any discussion or questions? I do have one point in the packet. I just want to make sure that I read this correctly. It says the Human Resource Specialist, Andrew Lewis, and the Director of Child Care Services, Melissa Klopsky, recommend that the Clintondale Board of Education approve the purchase of the new flooring. And here we have it as the Superintendent and the Director of Child Care. This is your recommendation, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I read that earlier today and was like, okay, gotta make sure. And then, as a reminder, board members, for the new rooms that we set up, we get, Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, $25,000 per room
That is correct.
to make improvements that are needed in the room, to bring either the room up to code or to things that have to happen
Anything
inside.
facility-wise.
Anything facility-wise, okay?
Which is desperately needs.
Correct. Mr. Powers, was that a question for this?
No, that was just a throat clearing.
Okay.
Yes.
Mrs. Knope, call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky.
Votes yes.
Mr. Manning.
Vote yes.
Mr. Powers.
Yes.
Mr. Jones.
Yes.
Ms. Santini.
Yes.
Ms. Valerio now, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. Board members, we are now part of general public comment on items not on the agenda. We encourage you to voice your opinion on topics not on the agenda. Please stand to be recognized by the chairperson and state your name and address before commenting. To provide the opportunity for all to participate, board policy limits each individual to 3 minutes. To ensure due process and respect of individual rights, the district maintains a formal process for handling complaints against individuals. A problem involving an individual or individuals or a specific incident is best handled through the administrative channels. Speakers are asked to express themselves in a civil manner with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by your comments. Speakers should be aware that if your statements violate the rights of others under the law of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally responsible. At this time, is there anybody wishing public comment in the room? Sir, please come forward and state your name and address for the record, and give me 1 second to turn on the timer. Sir, your name and address for the record.
I guess for those that don't know me, Dr. J. Blasius, 47252 Grand Cypress Court, Macomb, Michigan. President of the Sea Club. Just reminding this board again that July 26th, the last Friday in July, we're having the 41st Bill of Pisa Memorial Golf Outing. Just asking you guys for your support. If you know of any business owners that would like to donate, do a whole sponsorship, participate, we're always open. I figured this is the last time to mention it to you guys as a board and superintendent as a whole and to the community, because I think by the time July 22nd comes around, which is going to be the next board meeting, we'll have already been established and things will be locked down. Just appreciate your help and your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Blasius. Is there anybody else wishing to have public comment from the public? Ma'am, come forward. Please state your name and address for the record, and let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready. My name is Sharita Bishenberry, 352 Township.
Is your mic on? Sorry, is it?
Could you speak into the mic? It's a little hard to hear you.
Sure, not
Thank
a
you.
problem.
Maybe tilt it up a little bit?
Is that better?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Mr. Manning? You can hear me?
Okay, go ahead.
Yes.
Just put a little bit more bass in your pipes. if you'd be
More
so
bass in
kind.
my
Give her
pipes.
some time back.
Hold on.
This is interesting.
Give her some
Thank you.
time.
Okay,
So
start again,
sorry.
please.
So again, my name is Sharita Cushingberry. I live at 35237 We Care Drive, which is in Clinton Township. Proud member of the community, also a proud employee of this facility. I wanted to thank Mr. J today for encouraging the team that is working over the summer to do things right the first time. So again, I will say again, he said do things right the first time so they can withstand and withheld through the changes that we are trying to implement within Clintondale. I would like to encourage members of the board to check their emails regularly so we can do homework prior to being here in front of everyone, presenting their things over and over and over and over again. Trying to stay focused right now because I do have a lot of things to say. The time is ticking, but I do think we are on the path through to make things withstand the next changes within administration that will be happening throughout the year, I'm sure. So as a parent of Clintondale students, I would like to say thank you for all you guys' due diligence to try to make things change, but really please try to recognize that we do need change and that there are people here that are here to implement the change. We just need a chance to make it actually happen. So I'll continue to be here to do what I can do, no matter how small the role is. I think it's important. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you for your words.
Thank you, Mr. Manning. Have a good night.
Is there anybody else wishing public comment today?
Hello, my name is Danelle McKenzie, 35201 Rutherford, Clinton Township, Michigan. Hi, everybody. Really proud of you guys. I know most of you. Anyways, I have went to the C2 pipeline program last week. We had 2 field trips that we were a part of, myself included. We had a very nice lunch at Mexican Town in Detroit. The bus ride was really hot, no air conditioning. Tuesday, the second day, we went to Frankenmuth and had a lovely dinner. It was so lovely for the Clintondale C2 pipeline students. I don't know if you've popped in and met Mr. Lowe or Mr. Rena. They've given me permission, of course. And then Thursday, they went to, I believe, Asian Buffet. Today, they went fishing. They did a fishing trip. It's a very great program for maybe students that wouldn't have anything else to do during the summer. We used to have something in the middle school, but it's a little bit before my time, so I'm just really proud that the C2 Pipeline could partner with us. They said they come to underperforming schools, they make a contract with them, and we should see them for the next 5 years. And I'm not really sure if you guys really had a chance to learn about the program or what they do. They could definitely use a little bit of newer buses, but the kids don't complain. We had a bus breakdown on the way to Frankenmuth, and we had about 25 kids that behaved really good under the heat and circumstances, and they got us a bus super duper fast, so no worries there as far as the job they're doing. Right. Tomorrow they go camping for 3 days, and then they have, I believe, 4 more weeks of the C2 Pipeline summer program. And that's all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Sounds like they're very busy.
Is there any other members of the public wishing to have public comment this evening? No? Thank you to all of those who had public comment. Board? Mr. Manning?
Yes, I'd like to make just a couple of comments, please. One thing I forgot to mention, when I was speaking about Mr. Weaver is in the attack against him. We stopped doing business with his company, which cost us about $1 million a year. Am I correct in saying that, Ms. Walmsley?
Maybe more.
A little bit more than $1 million? Okay, so we lost a little bit over $1 million there on bull. One thing I'd like to say is I went to the alternative education graduation. I want to tell you guys I attended numerous alternative education graduations while Mr. Weaver was in power, so to speak. But Ms. Sanchez, I think she should take a bow because it was fantastic. The organization of it was just awesome. Those kids were really, behavior-wise, everything was awesome. And then in the end, something that kind of broke through to everybody's hearts is they had a student 2 days after he finished his required work to graduate, passed away. So they, in tribute, they gave this young man's father, they addressed him with his son's cap and gown, which I thought was a really, really nice tribute. And the father was absolutely distraught and tore up. But it was nice because a bunch of us went up to him and said some things to him. And, you know, he's going through a lot over losing his son. But overall, that graduation had everything you can imagine. But it was an outstanding graduation, and everybody involved in that should take a bow because it was very, very well run. Mr. God, the 4th of November, I hope I get to learn how to pronounce your last name. Janzarek?
Well done.
Wow. Mr. Janzarek was there and spoke. Ms. Kaminsky was also there. It was a great afternoon. Thank you.
Mr. Jones?
Yes, I would like to thank Ms. Kaminsky and Mr. Maynard for showing up to the Queer Community Black Tie event that we had here, honoring those that did a lot of great things in our community growing up. To take the time out of your day to come up here and mingle with people, we really appreciate it. Hear a lot of good things. You know, a lot of people were surprised that school board came, but I'm not surprised because since I've been here, I know I get that feeling. You know, you care. But really, thank you guys for showing up, and the ones who wanted to come, who probably had things to do. Appreciate you as well. But it's good for the community to see, to know that you care about the kids in the community and the people who serve in this community, even though they might be deceased, just to come and see the honors that's bestowed on those families. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Thank you very much. It was a wonderful evening. The food was great.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, board members, I made the shortest political speech of the evening. Believe it or not.
Maynard,
Mrs. Noak?
I'd like to give out a shout out. I have been watching my Facebook feed, and it keeps coming up with the Clintondale cheer. And they're doing their clinics, and they're doing their tumbles, and they're at the beach doing the lifts and all that. And I'm thinking, this is amazing work. I am so proud to see that our cheerleaders are being cheerleaders, and I love watching them practice, and I love watching them do their tumbles. And if I ever get ambitious enough. I might do it too, but I don't think so. I'll end up in the hospital, but great job, girls. Keep it up, and good on the coach too. She's been doing a fabulous job. So I just wanted to make sure that she got noticed.
Mrs. Zontini? No? Okay. Ms. Kaminsky, Mr. Powers? No?
Have a great 4th of July, Will.
I think Mr. Powers, that was the shortest speech.
I've been talking in court all day.
Okay, with that, we need an approval of the bills. It is recommended by the superintendent and the board president that the board approve the bills ending June 14th, 2024.
So,
Mr. Manning, is there support?
I support.
Ms. Kaminsky, is there any discussion on the bills?
I would like check number 3577,
Hold on, let me get my sheet first so I can make sure. 3577?
pulled and brought to the president's attention for review.
All right, any others?
one number was it again?
3577.
Okay. Is there any others? No? Mr. Manning, do you still hold?
I'm sorry?
Do you still make the motion?
Yes.
Ms. Kaminsky?
Yes.
Mrs. Noak, please call the roll.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Votes yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zontini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio now, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. This time, happy 4th of July to everybody, as Mr. Powers said. A motion is in order to adjourn at 7:56 PM.
So moved.
Ms. Kaminsky, supported by Mr. Powers. Please call the roll.
Ms. Kaminsky,
Yes.
Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Manning,
Vote yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Zontini,
Yes.
Ms. Valerio now, yes, and Mr. Maynard.
Yes, motion carries 7-0. We are adjourned.
Done.
See you.